All right, everybody, welcome back to another installment of Honest and Uneducated. I am Rob Bifo. This is a show where we talk about anything from movies, movie news, television, comic books, video games, all sorts of fun stuff like that. One thing off the top, really quick. If you have any questions or topics that you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. That's honestanduneducated@gmail.com. With that down and out of the way, joining me today is none other than Rick Metz. How you doing today, Rick?
Doing pretty good, man. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing all right. There hasn't nothing too eventful going on really. There's been a lot of interesting things happen in the movie world, so we're
True.
gonna have some fun stuff to talk about with that. With the whole Mulan going to Disney Plus exclusively. We have some DC Fandome stuff we're gonna talk about. That's shaping up to be a little bit more exciting than Comic-Con at home was. We'll just say
Very
the
true.
least.
Yeah.
No shade thrown at Comic-Con at home. They did what they needed to do. They got dealt a very shitty hand, and they did what they could with it. So it just didn't have as big of a turnout as they'd hope, you know.
True.
But yeah, we got some good stuff to talk about. But then I just want to go with two things off the top real quick. I wanted to do like two quick reviews. One, Train to Busan, which I just watched the other night that I had not seen before. And then I also finished Umbrella Academy Season 2 on Netflix. So I wanted to just give my quick thoughts, quick little mini reviews, no spoilers or anything like that. So Rick, if you haven't seen these before, right?
I have not seen them. Yeah, I'm looking forward to your review.
Okay, well I'll get into it real quick. Like I said, I'm not gonna get into any spoilers or anything. So Train to Busan I'll start off with. And for one, it is a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of hype behind this movie. Like I've heard it came out in 2016. There's a ton of hype behind it. Everyone was always talking about it. I don't know why I never really watched it. Maybe just because like I don't know. I felt like the whole zombie thing was just kind of like been played out, especially with I don't know, like ever since like Walking Dead. Like it just the zombie stuff just kind of blew up, and I don't know. It's just been kind of played out. Like the only zombies I've never been too big into zombie stuff. Rick, are you like into like zombie movies, like in
Uh,
general?
yes and no. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole idea of zombies is pretty cool. I mean, there's so many different like incarnations of like how they are, what they come from, or whatever. But I think they're pretty cool for the most part.
Well, you know what, dude? And I was telling Sarah this when when we were watching Train to Busan. The one thing that I have, like one thing I take issue with when it comes to zombie movies is that in every single zombie movie, like when the outbreak occurs, everyone's surprised, right? Everyone's like, "What is like? Oh,
Yeah.
what's going on? Like, what is this?" It's like it's hard for me to believe that in every zombie movies like universe, they've never had a zombie movie before.
No, and
Like,
that's
you
the
know what I
thing. Like
mean?
in our real life, like you'd almost expect it at this point.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, oh shit, it's happening just like on TV.
Right,
You
and
know?
that's like one thing, like, it's always been like it's a stupid nitpick, like, to really think about, but I was like, I don't know why, it just kinda dawned on me, like, 'cause I think I watched it last night, either last night or the night before, and, I don't know, that's just one thing that's always bothered me with zombie movies, because like,
Yeah.
you're telling me none of these people have ever seen or heard of a zombie before, like, you
Well, that's how they even like with The Walking Dead, that's how they make it out to be. It's just like, "What is this?" And it's like in
it's
our culture in real life, we would be like almost like, "Oh, finally it happened," you know?
right, it's like in Shaun of the Dead, they did do that, and, like, Shaun of
Yeah.
the Dead was good.
That
Like,
was
not that none of these
great.
other ones are good, like Train to Busan, like I said, it is a really good movie, so I'll get without any further ado, let me break down some of the things I liked and didn't like about it real quick,
Get
alright?
into it.
So for one, it's not just like an average zombie movie because, like, it has a lot of heart, alright? Like, there's surprisingly a lot of heart, and it does a decent job of making you care about the main characters in the movie. More so with the main 2, like the guy and his daughter, which, you see right here, like, these guys here, this I don't know this gentleman's name.
He looks very surprised.
He does, but, like, all the performances are really good as well in this film. But it kind of focuses on them for the most part, and, like, they do a really good job of, like, really making you care about these 2.
Yeah.
And then my only, like kind of going along with, like, yes, it has a lot of heart and does a good job of, like, kind of fleshing out these 2 characters. The one thing I could have used more of is some of the other leads. don't get as flushed out and you don't have as much of a, I don't know, like, emotional connection to, because they just kind of appear and they're there, and, like, some of them have much larger roles than some other ones, like, because it's on a train, obviously, the whole movie takes place on a train,
That's weird.
and well, that's one of the things that, like, it actually, like, makes this movie stand out, like, from a lot of other zombie movies
Like,
because
literally, the entire movie takes place on a train?
yeah, for the most part, yeah, absolutely. So, and that's the thing,
It's a
like,
sketchy train.
well, with it being on the train, it actually, like, allows, like, the filmmakers and allows you as a viewer to feel, like, a lot more tension because, like
You
'cause,
can't
like
really escape.
yeah, like, that's one thing that's always cool about, like, just a lot of movies in general. I've always liked when it's, like, one location
Yeah,
because it's really hard to make, like, a 1.5 hour or 2 hour long movie in one location
sure.
feel good. Like, a movie because it can get really boring and stale really quick. And this movie does not get boring or stale. Like, they find ways to make this, you know, zombie outbreak on a train, essentially being in one location. They find a lot of good ways to make it, like, unique and exciting throughout the entire film.
That's cool, though, that they can do that, I mean
Yeah, it's really good. And, like, them being in that contained space, it just lends itself to creating, like, just natural tension. Just being stuck in, like, a small, here's the thing, being stuck in a room is one thing, but this is a box, essentially, like, a very small, really, like, no bigger than this room we're in right now, but there's just a bunch of them in a train car.
that's
So
sketchy as fuck.
it is really sketchy, and they do, like I said, they do a lot of good stuff, like, with the zombies and, like, being, like, stuck in this train. Like, there's a lot of good stuff, so I definitely recommend watching. It's on Netflix, obviously, as the image dictates, so if you haven't seen it and don't mind subtitles, because, like, it is a Korean film, go watch it. It's really good, and if you've seen Parasite, one of the main leads in Parasite is also one of the leads in this film as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but with that, the one of the other things I kinda had, not really an issue with, but it kinda goes, like, along with what I was saying before, where there's a lot of heart to it, and you get to know, like, the dad and his daughter, you get their story, you feel a connection with them, blah, blah, blah. One weird thing that, like, is might just maybe I need to watch it again, but one thing I noticed was that, like, there wasn't a lot of dialogue, like, just in general. Like, and I know that sounds weird, and if you've seen the movie, you're probably like, "What?" But let me explain, because it's like in scenes where, like, despite the character development that we did have with these guys, because there's a lot of dialogue between, like, him and his daughter, like, and
Well,
stuff like that,
yeah,
like, leading
yeah.
up to the film, like, blah, blah. There is dialogue, but there's, like, a lot of the times, like, they just, and this isn't necessarily, like, a bad thing by any means. I'm just saying that, like, I felt like there could have used a little bit, it's not necessarily exposition dialogue I wanted, just some actual dialogue between, like, you and a person, like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" Like, blah, blah. Like, there seemed to be, like, a lot of scenes where, like, something would occur, like, let me give you a breakdown. Like, let's say someone, like, doesn't wanna let people in because they might be infected, right? That
Sure.
classic, like, they're gonna hold the door shut on you,
They're, like,
and, yeah, they
quarantining.
don't want you to come in because they know we're all safe on this side, and you got other people who we know as an audience are not infected or anything, but then there's people in the room, they don't want them to go. 'Cause there's, like, a couple scenes, for instance, in the movie where, like, obviously that happens, right?
Sure.
Like, people who are trying to run away from zombies try to go to another train car, but the people in that train car are like, "No, fuck that. I don't want anything to
Yeah,
do
like,
with you." They're
we
like,
quarantining
"Yeah,
ourselves
yeah,
off,
get outta
yeah.
here." While that's happening, like, you got someone literally right here in front of you holding a door shut, and then there's some, like, a group of people trying to get through. There's, like, a couple times where, like, they're not even, like, yelling at each other. Like, it's just like, we're just holding the door. Like, there's sound effects. It's not, like, dead quiet like this is just happening. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of tension, and you know what's going on, but, like, there's no, like, "Oh, the goddamn door!" Like, "We're good." Like,
Yeah.
Do it." Like, there's, like, sometimes there's none of that. Like, other times there is, and sometimes there's not. And, like, I just, for whatever reason, it stood out to me where I was just like, "Why are they just, like, not talking?" Like, there's just, like, multiple times, like, just talk, like, use words. It's kinda like a movie trope that occurs a lot of times where, like, if you just had a simple conversation with them, probably a lot of these problems you're having wouldn't even be problems right now. Like, just have a quick conversation, and then maybe, just maybe, you won't have any issues here. So, I mean, there's a couple scenes like that, but it's not like, it's not any, like, a detractor from the movie by any means. There's just, like, a little nitpick that I had that I thought was like, why don't you guys just have a quick conversation and just kind of work through this real quick? So, I mean, other than that, though, I thought it was a pretty good film, and
Yeah,
I would definitely recommend everybody
I'm
going
gonna
out and
check it
watching
out.
it. So
Well,
you
it's on
should.
Netflix. I've got
It's on
Netflix,
Netflix
so
if you don't have, or if you have a Netflix subscription and you like. I mean, if you like zombie movies, definitely watch it because it's not just your stereotypical zombie movie. And one thing I will note too, they do a lot of interesting things, like not just with them being on the train. Like there's a lot of, like I said, like good tension and things that can kind of happen just with a zombie outbreak happening on a train. But they do some interesting things with the zombies. No spoilers or anything, but like the non-infected would learn something about the zombies, and they find unique ways to like kind of, I don't know, develop the lore with like how the zombies work and things they can and can't do, and they utilize the train itself to kind of benefit them and survive the zombie outbreak to some capacity. Because I don't want to
yeah,
spoil anything if you haven't seen it. Because surprisingly, a lot of people haven't seen this movie. So, because I mean, I hadn't seen it. So, definitely go watch it. It's really good though. They do a lot of good stuff with it, and some of the lore behind it was really good. Like I said too, you don't really learn why the zombies are there, but there is a sequel to the movie coming out. And I don't know how connected it's going to be. I think it's called like The Island or something. I forget what it's called, but it is set in the same universe as Train to Busan. So look forward to that coming out soon as well.
true.
And then the last thing probably too is it's not just like a Walking Dead walkers kind of zombies. Like they're more like, because this deals with zombies like right when the outbreak occurs, so they still have flesh and like muscles and shit. So like they can
Yeah,
move.
they're not
Like
like
they
rotting
run fast.
corpses.
Like yeah,
Yeah,
they run fast, if not faster than a normal human kind of thing.
sure.
Which is one thing that like always is like annoying with like The Walking Dead. They're all just like decayed zombies and they're really slow and like,
How does the muscle tissue like support their frame? It doesn't make sense.
well, no, like I will say like The Walking Dead with the like withered ones like that, they don't move quick.
Well,
Like
like
if
your
they have a
joints would be
decayed leg, they'll
decaying to
move.
the point where it's like, how can your brain physically, not to mention the equilibrium and balance it takes to even stand up straight? Like to
Well, that's
me,
why
that's
they
what I
don't
never
though.
really liked
They
about The
don't do
Walking
that
Dead.
though.
That's good though. I mean, like that's what I didn't like about The Walking Dead is you got these rotting corpses.
No, even with The Walking Dead, like if someone's like leg was completely boned, then they would be like not running.
No,
You know what I mean? Like they would be like limping along, like
but if it was completely bone, real talk, like they wouldn't be standing up.
no. But I
Like,
think,
what? Where does their sense of balance and equilibrium come from? Their brains rotting.
oh, I
Like,
know. It's
sorry, I'm
well,
just
no,
getting
no, no.
into
I
like
agree, and that's like what you're
the deep
saying
shit.
is one of the things I really like. It's kind of like I said before with how do these people in zombie movies not ever have a zombie movie in their world? It's the same kind of concept. Like these dudes are literally rotting. How are they walking? It's like something. It's just kind of something you have to just accept. Kind of like with superheroes, you just kind of have to accept the fact that like there they are. They just
Yeah,
do it. They just that's them now. So you just kind of have to live with it.
sure.
So I don't know. All in all, though, it's good. You should definitely check it out. That was just a quick review of Train to Busan. It's on Netflix. If you've let me know if you've seen Train to Busan, in the comment section below. What did you think of it? And did you have a similar do you have the same like kind of concept that I do when it comes to zombie movies where like I don't know, does that stuff just bother you? The things that I said essentially. Like, cause I mean I like zombie movies, I've always liked them, but there's some things that are just kind of like boring with zombie movies, and I feel like Train to Busan did a really good job of making it like compelling and finding unique situations to actually like.
The picture looks compelling. I mean,
Well, it's good. All
yeah.
the actors were great too, like I said. So like, just definitely check it out and just let me know what you think of Train to Busan down in the comment section below. All right, so the next thing I just wanted to talk about off the top was Umbrella Academy season 2. I finished watching that the other day, and I gotta say, for one, I liked it a lot better than season 1. Um, Not that I didn't like season 1 by any means. Season 1 was great. But season 2, I felt like took everything that season 1 did and built upon it even more in like a much better way. Like everyone's powers were flushed out a lot more. The story I felt was a lot better and a lot less convoluted to some degree. And even so, like just real quick off the top, Rick, and I think you said you hadn't seen Umbrella Academy season 1 or 2, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Right. Well, you definitely need to check it out because it too, just like Train to Busan, it is also on Netflix. So
Yeah,
if
I'll definitely
anybody,
check it out.
yeah, if anybody hasn't seen it, definitely check it out. Like it's not your typical like kind of like Train to Busan isn't your typical zombie kind of movie, even though it has a lot of those same beats that a zombie movie will. Umbrella Academy is not your, typical like superhero kind of story or TV show. I mean, it has a lot of the beats, but I mean, it's a genre, so obviously you're going to have a lot of the same beats kind of in anything like that. But Umbrella Academy, what really carries it like is the characters. Like they have very diverse characters. All of them are completely individualistic. Like none of them are interestingly enough, too, like, none of them have, like they're not just, like, rip-offs of other characters, like, for instance, like, The Boys is a great show, like, I love The Boys, but, I mean, those soups are derivative characters, essentially, of the Justice League, for the most part,
They
like,
really are.
yes, like, some more so than others, but, like, that's the gimmick, right? Like, that's what
Yeah.
that show is. But with Umbrella Academy, like, they all have, like, they're like it's stuff you've seen before, but in a very unique way. Like, like this cat right here, the little kid here, he's 5. I'm telling like, kind of explaining this kinda to you, Rick, since you haven't seen it, but this kid steals the fucking show from in season 1 and in season 2. Okay? Like, he is literally you wouldn't expect it, the best character in the show. Like, and he kinda literally does, ironically, kinda lead both seasons. Like, he's almost like the main character.
See,
Like
the one thing I've heard about Umbrella Academy is there's a character. It's one of these guys on screen. I don't know if it's the guy on the right or the left, the one with the long hair. Name starts with a T, I think. And they were saying that like he's the best character in the show.
none of them start with a T.
No, it's one of the long hair guys. I think it's the guy on the right.
This guy,
Yeah,
Klaus?
Klaus. That's what it is. Yeah, it's not.
He's good. He's a lot. I like his character a lot more. Season 2, he is a lot cooler of an arc. And
It's just
I'm not going to get any spoilers of
I
this.
saw things on Facebook where they were saying like Klaus carries the show.
No,
I don't know.
like,
I've never seen it.
especially not in season 1 because Klaus really didn't have a whole lot to do. There's a little bug flying around, but Klaus didn't have a whole. See, here's the thing: in season 1, it really was 5's show, in my opinion. Like no one else really had a whole lot to do, and no one really kind of like expressed any of their kind of like powers more so than anything. Like for instance, like this girl here, I can't, for whatever reason I can't remember her name, but her power, for instance, Rick, is kind of like it's essentially like mind control to some degree, but she has to. It's called like she rumors people. So the way her power works is she'll come up to you and say, "I heard a rumor," and whatever she says after that, like you do. Like so, if she says, "I heard a rumor that you stop breathing," then you're gonna stop breathing. Like, so it's pretty much just mind control, but with like a unique twist, like I was
That's kind
saying.
of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, whereas it sounds kind of cheesy and stupid, and it is kind of like cheesy to have to like kind of say that every time you're trying to do your power. That's kind
I
of
heard a rumor.
yeah, it's kind of the show though. It's really kind of like off the cuff. Like it's honestly like very much a comedy, more so than it is. Not,
It's probably a good thing though.
it is, and honestly, I'm. It's very akin to The Boys in a lot of ways. Like it is graphic, just like The Boys is, but it's not as like I don't know, not as maybe like on the nose as The Boys is, but it's very like kind of ironic in the same kind of humor that it has. It's got a lot of the same beats. If I had to compare it to a show, I'd call it The Boys, but not as I don't know, like hardcore, if you will.
The
It's like
dudes, maybe
the what?
the dudes or the kids.
Yeah, like yeah, I guess you could say that. But like season 2 though, just to get back into it, it definitely like they get dropped off in the 60s, right? So like and like that's all I'm not like I said, I don't want to do any spoilers if you haven't seen season 1 or season 2, but it takes place in the 60s and all the characters are there. And it's kind of like interesting just because like obviously the civil rights movement was like a big thing obviously in the 60s.
Yeah.
And this was filmed obviously prior to it was filmed like a year and a half ago, whatever, like prior to what's kind of going on right now.
Kind of a rebirth of the civil
Yeah,
rights.
but it's like it's literally like kind of worked out really good for them because they find for one they deal with like the civil rights kind of movement and everything. They weave that kind of story, and like there's some beats that go in with it. Like they weave it in and out of the overall, superhero-y plot of the show in like a very good way, and to where it's not like it doesn't ever feel like they're trying to make a political statement or stand or anything.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't have that at all. But they in a very like impactful way have some great scenes kind of like showcasing just how, fucked up all that shit was. Like in all honesty, they have some good stuff in there. So I mean, that was a cool thing, and it really, like I said, worked out for them really well, just with kind of like the current climate. Like it just kind of like sheds a little bit even more light. It just kind of goes hand in hand with it. So I mean, that was really cool. Um, and then it does like, and you've seen from the trailers, like so in the first season, since you haven't seen it, like in the first season, our characters here are pretty much their overall main goal is trying to stop the apocalypse to some capacity.
Can't blame
Again,
them.
without spoilers. But so like in this season two, it starts off with like that same kind of plot, like, oh god, we got to stop the apocalypse again, and like we're the cause of it again, like because that was kind of the thing. It was literally the same thing as the first season, and it starts off and like you think like, okay, well here we go again. It just seems like they're retreading the same thing. Um, but the way they actually tell the story and the way they like, I don't know, just kind of explain the who, what, when, where's, and whys, and they kind of just like I said, like weave a lot of these like beats in, and the way they tell this, it's really good. And I could see a lot of people who maybe watch season one and then go to watch season two, and you're just like, again, like you're just gonna do the apocalypse thing again, like, and I could see people being kind of turned off from that. But like I assure you, like I don't know, like it's not the same thing. Like it's absolutely not the same thing. They introduce some new characters. There's some characters other than our main cast. There's some returning characters from season one. Um, I don't know, the way it ended, it sets up the third season in a really good and compelling way, and really ties in the whole "we need to save the world" thing. Right? The ending sets up to where the third season isn't really going to be like that,
Yeah.
without giving anything away. Like you can tell the way where it ends. It's very on the nose of how that season is going to start out, and it's clearly not going to be an apocalyptic kind of event, but it's going to be a very. It seems like the next season might be a little bit more of a personal thing than this season is. Like I'm not going to get into spoilers or anything, so you just got to
Sure.
watch it to see. And the cool thing is too with how it ends in that final scene, because that's the final scene sets up the next season. But when you actually go back and look at it, it all like you realize that they kind of foreshadowed everything like leading up to that event, but it's not a predictable thing.
Yeah.
Like it almost kind of hits you in like not so much of an M Night Shyamalan kind of twist, because it's not so much a twist, but it's just like a hmm. Well, that makes
Well, how
perfect
about
fucking
that?
sense.
Yeah.
Like I totally get why that would be happening. Like that's good, and it leaves you wanting more. Like they did a really good job of wrapping up the entire story of season 2 in a good, compelling way,
Yeah.
and then teasing the third season also in a very good and compelling way. So, all in all, again, Umbrella Academy season 2 on Netflix. Check it out. It's really good. Anyone who hasn't seen it, definitely go give it a watch. I literally watched it all in like a day,
I'll,
essentially.
I'll probably watch it later or
Like
tomorrow.
it was really good.
Yeah.
And like if you had any if you were even on the fence about season 1, like you're like, "Ah, it was okay, but I didn't really like it." Give season 2 a try, because like I'm telling you, it is a lot better. And like if you're more into like the superhero-y kind of thing, then they do flush out the characters and their powers a lot more. Like just a lot more. So I mean, you can even get a. I will say though, the very opening scene, and they did release this like pre the show coming out. They released the opening scene as like a kind of a teaser, and it showcases pretty much the whole group just going balls to the walls with their powers. It was pretty much like the portal scene in Endgame, but with these
Yeah.
characters. You don't get that again really for the whole series, unfortunately. Like it was like, and that was kind of a bummer. Like you still get a lot of it, and there's a really good fucking scene at the end that lets them really showcase their powers as a whole again. But it's like nowhere near as like fluid as that opening scene is, because the opening scene was seriously like them being like the Justice League or the Avengers. Like it was just them wrecking shop with their powers. And that was like kind of the only like I wouldn't call it a detractor because I really liked the story and I liked the characters, but I would like to see more of that. And I think with how they set up season 3 and everything, season 3 is more than likely going to really showcase that stuff a lot more. So that's pretty much all I had. That was my quick review of Umbrella Academy season 2, guys. So, have you guys seen Umbrella Academy season 2? If you did see it, what did you think of it? Let me know down in the comment section below. And if you haven't seen it, let me know why you didn't like it. What didn't you like about it? You just don't like the characters, you not like how everything's set up. So let me know down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So with those two things down and out of the way off the top, those two reviews, we're going to get into our main topics now. And our first main topic is going to be probably the biggest thing that's come out of the entertainment industry news, I'd say, for quite a couple of weeks, if not months at this point in time, just because there's been so much of a lack of it, really. Is none other than Disney Plus announcing that they are going to be taking Mulan straight to kind of VOD in a way, because they're putting it straight on to Disney Plus with an additional $30 fee associated with it. So you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to be a Disney Plus subscriber in order to have access to Mulan, and then in order to get Mulan, you have to pay a $30 premium to get it. And when you hear that at first, I guess it doesn't sound like too terrible, but it's kind of created a lot of I don't know, like a lot of shakeups. There's been a lot of mixed reviews on this whole thing since it got announced, and with good reason. Because one, if this does work for them, and we'll get into kind of more the the financial aspect of it here in a bit, but if this does work out for them financially, this could really change the way that the whole theater industry really kind of exists as it stands now. Because Rick, I don't know if you know too much about this. Have you seen this kind of this Mulan story and Disney Plus thing?
Well, I saw the trailer originally. I think I saw it when I saw Rise of Skywalker, but with the idea that it's going to Disney Plus, like I'm kind of conflicted about it. One, it's easier to access, so you don't have to go to a theater to watch it. But at the same time, when you're paying $30 on top of what you're already paying for Disney Plus, does that make sense necessarily? I mean, I guess that's their way of making money off of it, but
well, that's the thing. It's obviously a financial thing. I mean, that's all it is. Because like, in order for them to make money off of Mulan, to make for them to break even with after production and marketing and everything, for them to break even on Mulan right now, they have to make $300 million. Okay,
it's a lot of money.
That's a tall order for. I mean, for most movies, $300.
What's $30 times what to equal that, though? Like how many people have to buy it to make that money? I don't know the math off the top of my head, but
well, it'd be at $30 an hour, or $30. At $30, they'd have to what would it be? A million, right? Or a million?
Yeah,
$10
but
million.
I'll put it this way:
10 million,
million or 10 million.
10 million.
How many Americans exist? Like, I mean, I guarantee you'll make that.
Well, that's the thing, dude.
It's
know
Mulan.
I don't know. Here's the thing, though. I'm not gonna buy it.
I'm not gonna buy it either. But I mean, there's a lot of people out there that I know that love Mulan, and you got to think of like the general consensus of like '90s kids that grew up with like Mulan, and they're gonna pay for that. I'm not.
Well, that's the thing.
But
this will only work for no. If they sold 10 million, that'd be 300. So
that's a lot.
We're really shitty at math, apparently.
Yeah, that's a lot, but I don't see that being like out of the question by any means.
No, wait, that's what we were looking for. We needed 300 million. Yeah, so we were fucking right. They would need to sell 10 million because they needed $300 million.
Yeah, I could easily see the.
Yeah. So they would need. Yeah, we're not that shitty at math, guys. That shitty. We know.
I'm pretty shitty at math.
This is a fucking educational show, obviously. So we know what we're
talking. Uneducated.
We know what we're talking about. Yeah. Honestly, but no, but that's the thing. Like, I'm not gonna. for a lot of people, it's why would you pay $30 for it if it's just gonna come out 3 months from now on Disney Plus anyway, for free, as
True.
a part of your membership, and then
Well, you're paying on top of your membership. Like,
no, exactly, and that's the thing that a lot of people have a problem with. They're like, "Well, why would I'm already a member of Disney Plus, so why would I wanna do this?" And I think that kinda leads into it some of the things that I think they could have done to actually make this a little bit more compelling for people, because the new CEO of Disney, Bob Chapek, said, like, one, this is gonna be like a one-off thing, which it's not gonna be a one-off thing if it works. Like, if this works and they get 10,000,000, 20,000,000 people to actually buy this thing, so if they make profit and then if they break even and only sell 10,000,000, then yeah, they're probably not gonna really try this again. If they were to make any sort of profit off of this, then you bet your ass they're gonna do this again, like, with some movie out there.
yeah.
Like, they can say that it's gonna be a one-off all they want, but it's only a one-off if it doesn't work. Like, and the thing is that, like, for them to make this more compelling, because Bob Chapek said as well, like, Mulan coming to Disney Plus in this format, being released in this way, they're hoping it is gonna be like an incentive for people to sign up for Disney Plus, so they in turn get more Disney Plus subscribers on top of them
I
paying
don't see how that
$30
makes
for this
sense
movie.
though, because you want
Exactly.
people to sign up for Disney Plus, but on top of that, it's like, by the way, if you want to watch Mulan, pay us 30 more bucks. Like,
Exactly.
and especially with everything going on with COVID and all that, money's tight for a lot of people.
It is, yeah, exactly, and that's kind of the thing, and, like, obviously, they've been dealt a shitty hand, and they you feel like they had to try this with something, right? Because I know there's been a lot of people wondering, like, well, why didn't they try it with, this film or this or that film? Like, why didn't they do this with New Mutants, for instance? Just
Sure.
because the problem is, like, with New Mutants, like, they were already in a contract with that to where they had to release it, theatrically, like, prior to all this being done. They have a contract with, like, NATO, it has to go out. But that aside even, it's not a very good litmus test for New Mutants because a lot of people don't know what the hell New Mutants is.
Yeah.
Like, it's loosely connected to the X-Men universe as it is, and it's essentially a new property. So, like, they're not gonna get the kinda data and results that they actually are looking for despite what Bob Chapek's gonna tell everybody, and as far as, like, we're concerned. Because again, like I said, they'll say this is a one-off, but, if Mulan makes 400, $500 million, maybe if it even at the very least breaks even, this is not a one-off. They're definitely going to do this again, and the main concern, though, obviously, like we said, is that, like, why would people wanna pay the $7 a month or whatever it is for Disney Plus just to pay another $30 to watch Mulan as pretty much just like early access, because eventually in 3 months it's gonna be dropped onto Disney Plus anyway, and there in hand is kinda like the issue that, like, I don't know, I just felt like they could have probably done this in a lot better of a way, like, for instance, Rick, if they would have said, "Sign up for Disney Plus for a 6-month commitment," like, or even if you sign up for Disney Plus for a year commitment, we'll say,
We'll throw in
for
Mulan.
you get Mulan for, for X price, so if it's $7 a month, let's say they take half the fee off or something, and then say, so you get 6 months free of Disney Plus, but you have to pay a year up front, like, minus the 6 months, so you pay the 6-month fee and you get Mulan, you know what I mean? Or just something like that, so you essentially get 6 months free of Disney Plus and you get Mulan into it for, like, to get the new subscribers in, right?
Sure.
Like, I feel like if they would've done something like that, that would sound better than having to just come out and pay an extra $30 outright, because, like, again, if it's only $7 a month, you're looking at, like, 84 bucks, 90 bucks a year, right? So, if you were just to do 6 months free, then you're looking at $42, which is essentially what they're asking new consumers to do right now.
Sure.
So they kinda get the best of both worlds at that, and they're not losing out of any money necessarily because they've already had, like, I have a year of Disney Plus for free through Verizon. So, like, and there's any Verizon member got a year of Disney Plus for
That's how I
free.
got it, through my ex-girlfriend. Like,
Yeah, like,
yeah.
you didn't even have to pay for it. So they're already, like, sitting in a boat where they have, like, I think, like, they just broke, like, 50 or 60 million subscribers or something to Disney Plus as it is, and probably the majority of those are paying as it is too. And, like, I don't know, I just feel like they could have done something more to actually get those new subscribers in, because if getting the new subscribers is something they're really hoping this would do, I don't think essentially having to pay nearly $40 and then an additional $7 a month is really the way to go. It doesn't sound like a compelling thing for me. And then
No,
especially being a Disney Plus member already, despite me having a free year, I don't want to pay $30 for a movie right now.
I
Like,
wouldn't.
as just to watch it at home, it's completely different if you're going out.
Well, it's the other thing too is it's not like, a Star Wars movie being released or this or that. It's Mulan. And it's like you
Mhm.
either loved it or hated it or just didn't even care when we were younger. And it's like I'm not gonna pay $30 to see that.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because some people made the point to where, like, Black Widow is what they should have done this for. That would have been better. Like, that would have probably got more people to be okay with it. And
I'd watch
where
that.
I could see that being valid. Like, maybe Black Widow would be more successful in this format, but I can tell you right now where Black Widow will be more successful, and that's in the theaters. Black Widow isn't going to make $1 billion streaming on Disney Plus.
No.
Black Widow is going to make $1 billion in the theaters, though, and they know it will, because all of the MCU movies average out at $1 billion.
Yeah.
If you take all of them that have come out and just do the average, they're averaging $1 billion a film.
It's pretty good.
That's really good. And, like, yeah, obviously you have some of them, like, the Ant-Man ones make around 5 to 7 million a piece, but like I said,
Even so.
you have other ones that make, like Endgame and your Avengers movies that make 1 to $3 billion.
Yeah.
So you average these films out and they literally make about $1 billion per movie. So them putting Black
$1 billion.
Widow out may, yes, make them more money than Mulan would in this format, but they're still going to be losing money at that point,
Yeah.
you know? And it kind of goes the same way with New Mutants. Like, Disney themselves didn't put any money into New Mutants. They acquired New Mutants when they purchased Fox. So at this point in time, they're not losing money on New Mutants. That's
No.
done and paid for. They just kind of have it. So any money they do make in the theaters is essentially all profit. Like, it doesn't even, it's not really profit, I guess, since you still, like, they kind of they paid, $70 billion for Fox, but they're not like with Mulan. They had to literally fish out the 150 million to make the movie, then the additional 150 million to market the movie. So that 300 million break even mark is what they need for it. New
Sure.
Mutants is just kind of like a wild card. They'd be better off throwing New Mutants in theaters and just getting whatever they can get from it. And like I said, despite what Chapek is saying, this will not be a one-off. If they get 10, 12, 15 million people to buy it, because then you're looking at making your 300 million and then some.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the other interesting thing, though, kind of like I said off the top, if this is successful, if this whole releasing, a streaming service essentially releasing their product to, like, a feature film like this, like Mulan, Disney releasing it on their own streaming service, it does set an interesting precedent, just not for VOD in general, but for the streaming platforms. Because another thing that I kind of just thought about on the top of my head, Rick, is what would you think about, like, Netflix or Disney Plus or, like, Peacock or, whatever. What would you think about these streaming services actually having, like, not just doing this release plan? Because, like, yeah, they could just drop movies on, VOD on their streaming service like this for $30 and just see what happens. But what would you think about them actually doing something like Netflix is what, like $14 a month right now or something?
Yeah,
I forget
something
what it
like
is.
that.
What if they made like a $30 a month plan to where you got these premium movies as well? Like, what if they bundled that in?
I mean, I'd be into that. That's a lot more logical than having to pay $30 each time a new movie comes out. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Because that's the thing. Something like this would only work if they weren't releasing these films in theaters. because that's the problem. Is like since Mulan is going straight to Disney Plus and being a paid VOD movie, Disney cannot release this movie in theaters anywhere that Disney Plus is available. They can because it's a simultaneous release, which I should have probably set up at the top. But so they're releasing this on Disney Plus only in markets where Disney Plus is not available because they have obligations with NATO, not the military one, NATO to the National Theater Association. You know,
you got to clarify that.
I know every time I feel like I do, just because like I say like
it's necessary.
Disney works with NATO, so they're a fucking big deal.
Yeah, right.
But you like the theaters are not going to play a movie in their theaters if you have it available on a streaming service, and that's kind of like the thing. Like so. The plan that I'm saying, like, what would be a better incentive? Like, if say, like, the theater say the theaters, because this is the big thing where I'm saying, like, if this is successful, this will literally change the theater industry fundamentally. Because if Disney is able to make, like I said, like, let's say they make $500 million on Mulan, which is like what 15 million people signing up for it or something. They won't really have too much of an incentive to put the movies in theaters for some of their films. Like, and if it's a proven thing to where they try it with Mulan, and let's say since it's new, because that's the thing, they're going to chalk it up to if it only makes quote unquote $500 million, okay, which that's a pretty good amount of money for a lot of movies. $500 million is great, especially a movie like Mulan. That's probably what they would hope for. They'd probably obviously be hoping for about 800 million. But I'm sure they wouldn't be like too mad about 500 million because it'd still be like $200 million profit.
When
it comes down to it. So I could see it in the future, like them making not just like Disney, but like just streaming services in general, like not bothering putting the movies into theaters if they know that they can just literally put it on their own platform, potentially bring in more subscribers on top of an additional fee that gets them a $500 million, gross on their film. Why would they put that in theaters? Because then if you go to theaters, you have to give the theaters like a cut and like, it's just like a whole thing. And it just sets a precedent, man. Because like the theater industry could actually like, if this works, it could really change as we know it. And I feel like if we were to go down that road and like the theater going experience, because like the theater industry would have to adapt at that point. They wouldn't be able to sit there and like they wouldn't be able to say we're not going to play your movie in theater if you're going to release on your streaming service, because if the streaming services can find out that they can make 500 million without the theaters, then they'll be fine with not putting it in theaters.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the worry, like, and that's, I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying
it's just weird
that's
to
what's
me,
going to happen.
The change of everything with COVID going on and all that, it's changing everything. And, I mean, Mulan's a perfect example, so.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, and people always say like the theaters have to like adapt and things like that, but like they'll really have to adapt in this situation because, like I said, again, if Disney learns that they can make $500 million on their own, the theaters aren't going to be able to say no to putting like these movies like exclusively in theaters prior to their streaming service because they won't need the theaters anymore.
Yeah.
Like if they learn that they can make this money without
this may kill the theater industry.
If successful, it literally could.
Yeah.
Because and then like it could, again, if we were to go down that road, the theaters would have to allow both to happen. Like they'd still play the movie in theaters. They're going to make a shit ton less money than they ever did before.
True.
And the theater, the studios, they're just going to be making more money essentially. Like, because I would see the only way that would work is if the theaters, like, because that's the thing. If it were to work out and like the theaters have to like kind of cave and like just say like, okay, fine, you can do it because we need to put something in our theaters, like they can't just not put everything in theaters. Like if Disney finds out they can make this much money, like what's to say they're not going to do something like Black Widow directly to their thing?
Yeah.
And then the theaters, they make good money when they get some when a movie makes $1 billion at the box office in the theaters, those theaters made a lot of money.
For sure.
And like with this, they're obviously not going to make any money.
No.
So they're going to have to like if these streaming services learn that like well, we don't need the theaters, so you just if you don't want to play it, then fine. Then they're gonna have to just kind of cave and play them simultaneously, which means the theaters are gonna want a bigger cut from the studios. Essentially, it's gonna put all the power into the studios.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and it's what it is. So, like, ticket prices are probably gonna go up at the theaters, like, because like the theaters are gonna have to take more money on their end, and then the like it could be really fucked up. Like the things, it's like kind of like like just astronomically fuck up the theater industry, like, if not completely kill it. And, like I said, if we were to go down that road and theaters are just kinda, like, dead, kinda like Blu-ray, like, physical media is, like, kinda dying out, then I think the streaming services will have to come up with something better than just charging $30 for every new movie that comes
Oh,
out.
for sure. Yeah.
Because I mean, I could see where $30 for, like, a family of 5 to watch Mulan at home is a killer fucking deal.
Oh, it really is. Yeah.
Because like, if you're gonna take your wife and 3 kids out to see Mulan in theaters, you're gonna pay $150 after food and tickets and everything. Like, seriously.
Whereas you can just like, put a pizza in the oven or something like
Yeah.
that. DiGiorno.
Yeah, $30 to watch the movie, like, granted, it's not in the theater because that's the other
$5 to $10 to make some food, microwave popcorn.
Yeah, or even order for some food in, like you said, some pizza or something, and still only be like $20. Like, you
Yeah.
literally spend a third of what you would spend going out.
For
Granted,
sure.
you miss the whole event of going out.
See,
Which
I don't really care about that. Like, I like I'm kind of a
Yeah.
homebody, but I know you're different. You enjoy like the theater experience and
Well, I like seeing a lot. To me, a movie like Mulan is really not a movie I would go see in theaters anyway.
No.
It's not a movie that like I would care to like. I really don't care about seeing it at all. Like, it's not something that speaks to me.
Honestly, I was gonna say like if
Like-
I don't see it, like I won't be upset.
No, but like I recognize it's a big movie, and this move is
a pretty big
it's a
deal,
big
yeah.
deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like Mulan itself is a very well known Disney property. You know what I mean? And Disney is
Yeah.
Disney. So like. It's definitely a big deal that it's happening, but like I'm not like the target demographic for it. Like I thought the
No.
trailers are good and everything for it, and I liked the movie as a kid.
Trailers
like
look
the
good.
cartoon.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I don't have anything against it, but like I'm kind of like I don't know, just a stereotypical kind of like moviegoer as far as theater going goes, because I really just like to see like the big blockbuster movies in theaters. In all honesty, like I
like Endgame or
those kind of movies are like I'm going to
Rise
the
of
theater.
Skywalker.
Yeah, like I want to go to the theater to see.
Well, you
Star
want that
Wars
experience
movie.
with like the sound and it's
The
just
sound
it's
and the
different.
crowd, like like when like the end scene and Endgame, like the portal scene and everything, like. Yeah, it's a great scene just to sit and watch, but like the first time you see Cap pull Mjolnir to him in an audience full of like 300 people or whatever it is,
And they're all
and
super
everyone's
psyched.
fucking going wild, like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like it was dope, like
It was dope.
you don't get that if you're just watching it at home, like
Yeah.
on your little TV, like you know what I
I mean, whether you've got kids with you or not, or family.
Yeah, and whether you have a fucking big ass fucking 4K, QLED or whatever TV, it's not the same. Like even if you have your family there with you, and you're all like, "Yay!" It's just like going to like a sports game, a sporting event. Like you can watch the game at home, but like when you're at the stadium, the crowd and the atmosphere, like there's an energy there that you can't replicate.
No.
Kind of like Comic-Con at home. You know what I mean? You obviously Comic-Con at home learned the hard way that you cannot replicate the Comic-Con experience virtually. It's
No.
about being there. And like granted, it's also about content which they did not have. But that's a topic for a different time. Like it's just but as a whole, that is kind of the only like downside to like if this works, it could really change the landscape of theater going, if not kill it altogether. Which I mean, I'm kinda like you, like, I like staying at home, I don't really like going out a lot, especially right now, like, I don't
No,
wanna go out
I'm
right
I'm very
now,
much a
like,
homebody right
yeah,
now.
I'm definitely not trying to go be in, like, a movie theater right now, so it's but I tell you, like, if it and that's the thing too, like you mentioned, if this was a Star Wars movie, I'd probably pay the $30 to see it. I'd be
Fuck yeah,
disappointed I couldn't go see it in the theater,
it's Star
but I
Wars.
need to see the damn movie.
Yeah,
Like, I need to see it.
like let me in.
Yeah, like, the only other problem with this too is, like, piracy. Just, like, it's
Which
gonna
it's
get
gonna happen.
the day this is available
It's
is
gonna be available in
it's gonna
Pirate
be
Bay, all
yeah,
that stuff.
everywhere is gonna have this thing for you just to download and watch it for free. So that's obviously which is primarily the biggest reason that studios don't do this is because they know they're gonna lose out on, like, a pretty substantial amount of revenue by pirate like, it would you wouldn't think it'd be a lot, but it's a substantial amount. Like, there's a substantial market of piracy out there that is just missing revenue essentially to the theaters and this kind of stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm, I don't know if it's the best move. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. But I don't know. That's kind of all I had on it. You got any more? You got any more thoughts on this at all?
No, I think you basically covered everything I've thought. So
Yeah. So I don't know, guys. What do you guys think? Do you think that if this works, kind of like me, it could really like completely change the landscape of, if not completely kill the theater, going just not just experience, just kill the theater industry. And let's say in a world where that does happen, what kind of model would you like to see these streaming services adopt as opposed to like $30 per film, which for like single people, that's a pretty steep thing. 'Cause that's another thing that we didn't really talk about because I mentioned, yeah,
yeah.
for five people, like a family of five, $30 to watch a movie is a pretty good deal. But for like a single guy or a single gal, $30 to watch one movie at home, like on your shitty TV, that's not a very good deal. Like, and
I
especially if
wouldn't pay that.
yeah, and especially if this is gonna come out on that streaming service in 3 months from now for free anyway, that's not a very good, like, way to go about that. Like, that model, I don't think would work long term. So, like, what do you think they would need to if this does go forward? Do you think that these streaming services would need to adopt, like, a premium plan that gives the members, access to these kind of like early release, like, kind of like video game model, like DLC kind of thing, early access. If you pay the $30 a month instead of $15 a month, you also unlock early access to, feature films, we'll call them, that kind of concept. So whatever you guys think, just let us know down in the comment section below. All right, so our next topic here today, guys, is going to be back in the world of DC Fandome. I don't know why it's called Fandome. I feel like it should just be called Fandom, but I get it. I guess if they're gonna have like a dome graphic and call it the Fandome, but
The dome.
yeah, I feel like so many people just say DC Fandom event, but it's Fandome. It's the Fandome. I can prove it. Fandome. Fandome. I'm just gonna keep saying it's the Fandome event.
Fandome. Some dome.
Fandome. But anyway. So DC Fandome event is coming up here, I think on August 24th.
That's soon.
We're gonna go with it until I see a date. And I think it's August 24th, but it's coming up here. It's on a Saturday, and they've started to release some more like teaser footage. They had a little teaser trailer come out, didn't really show a whole lot, but they've kind of came out and released a lot of like I don't know, just news and stuff they're going to be showing at the just like their panels and the new trailers and stuff that are going to come out. And then most importantly, the first thing I actually want to talk about here, Rick, we scroll down a bit on this page, is Rocksteady Games, the makers of the critically acclaimed and much beloved Arkham series of Batman games, has confirmed with a pretty cool and interesting graphic here that they have been making a Suicide Squad game. And I feel like so far, we all knew like Rocksteady had been teasing some things over probably the last about a year. I think they've been teasing some stuff, and everyone obviously just assumed it was going to be another Batman game of some sort. But I don't feel like anybody actually saw it, it being a Suicide Squad game actually coming. And for one, I really like this graphic, but for two, it actually raises a lot of questions for me because for one, you got the Suicide Squad, And there's an article that goes into a little bit more detail. It just says like, yeah, they teased a Suicide Squad game that's going to pit the Suicide Squad up against the Justice League or something along those lines. And it honestly, just like I'm doing now, had me scratching my head because the Suicide Squad is just like a bunch of dudes and gals with,
Medial superpowers.
yeah, at best, like, it's literally like a B team, and it's the whole point of the Suicide Squad. They don't care if they're gonna fucking die. Like, but you're gonna put them up against like this graphic kind of says it all. Like they're gonna be targeting. You're gonna put the Suicide Squad up against Superman. That's your goal. Like you want to. So
It's gonna end real quick.
yeah, take for instance the game, or this the previous Suicide Squad movie, for instance. We'll say their big gun was what, El Diablo. That was their big
At
gun.
best.
Like some dude who can maybe turn into a fire god if he gets pushed enough. Like, do you think that's gonna be enough to take on Superman? Like, dude, I don't think so. How much? How much is Harley Quinn's hammer gonna be lined with kryptonite? Like, I don't see this just going very well. Like, just the idea of, yeah, the Suicide Squad versus Justice League. Well, I'm sorry, the Justice League's gonna win that fight, dude. You know what I mean? Like, nothing against the Suicide Squad, but I mean, it's the Justice League, dude. And even if you just take it out, it's like, even if it's just Superman, dude, you're gonna throw the Suicide Squad at Superman. Like, I get it's the Suicide Squad, but that's just like, why die
Y'all
trying
gonna
so much?
die.
Yeah, like there's no point to that. Like, offhand, without knowing any sort of story, obviously. But like, if I were to put together a squad of elite troops, I would not just want to throw them away by saying, let's go take out that God man over there.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem like a very sound idea. So like, I hope they have, which I'm sure they would, have like a good story to go along with it, because I just don't see that ending very well. Which
No.
would kind of be kind of interesting though. Because like, imagine playing through this game as the squad and inevitably just losing at the end. So I mean, that could actually kind of be cool. Like, because I mean, if you're gonna hit the Suicide Squad up against the Justice League, they're not gonna win. Like, they can't win.
No.
Like, not just like mano y mano. Like, yeah, they can't win because it's super. Like, I'm saying, like, what superhero story, like in all reality, ever ends with the heroes like actually losing? You know what I mean? Like, because in some way, yeah, like, oh, but like so and so like died. Superman died here, and he caught Doom. Yeah, but you know what happened after Superman died to Doomsday? The motherfucker came back. Like, they don't actually lose. Like, that's just kind of how comic books go. Like, the heroes don't ever really lose. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like pitting people up against the Justice League is like this is a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
Even just Superman alone, which is one of the main reasons why like making a Superman movie is like hard, because he's a god man. What do you throw up against a god man? That's why it's hard. But I mean, other than that, I am excited for it, because like I really loved all the Arkham games. They're great. And that's one thing that the Arkham games kind of had going for it, was the fact that you're playing as Batman, you're playing as a guy, and he's never going up against anybody that's like too unbeatable. Like, at all, like, Batman has the best rogues gallery out of fucking every superhero, supervillain. Period. Like, I don't think anybody would argue that. And like, I think the best thing about all of Batman's villains is that none of them seem too far out of reach for Batman to be able to defeat. At the same time, there's a lot of his rogues gallery that could easily defeat him, because it's happened like many times. Like, Joker's beaten him, Riddler's beaten him, Bane's beaten him. Like, everybody's beaten him at some point. But there's always that. It's always a pretty fair fight to some degree when you take everything into consideration. And with Superman, it's just like, you got to throw Doomsday, or not, Doomsday and Darkseid, and all these Brainiac. You got to throw these like huge Omega level threats, for instance, like into it to even be a thing. And I don't really consider the Suicide Squad being an Omega level threat to Superman. So the one thing I would love to see out of this, though, is like Rocksteady in the Arkham games, like post pretty much an Arkham Knight, the last installment of the franchise, they kind of dabbled in not multiplayer, but like you being able to play as different characters, like at the same time. So like you'll have there were missions you'd go on where like Robin or Nightwing or Catwoman or whoever would be doing a mission with you, and you could switch between being like Robin, or you could like, go back to Batman, like, and you just do it whenever you want. You just be fighting along, and then you can switch to the other character, do it, do combos, whatever. What I'm kind of hoping out of this, as far as actual gameplay goes, is I kind of like to see them do something like because the Suicide Squad. I was talking to you a little bit the before we got on camera here, Rick. Like the Suicide Squad is like 6, 7 people, like,
Yeah.
and what I'd really like to see, and they go on missions together. Like that's the whole point. Like they go out together. So like it would be kind of like I could see them having like they all go out on a mission and then they separate. So maybe two of them go this way, two of them go that way, whatever. But I would kinda like to see them actually, like, in as far as, like, Rocksteady and, like, kinda game development goes, like, do something different other than just reskin Arkham with Suicide Squad characters, for instance, because I can already imagine, like, the beat 'em up Arkham gameplay is, like, fun. It does get repetitive after a while, in my opinion, like, and I really enjoy the games, but I'm, like, a huge Batman fan, so it's, like, really easy for me to enjoy just being Batman. Um but the overall gameplay itself, like, it gets repetitive after a while. It's just, like, combo, combo, combo. You take down the mobs. Like, it is what it is. But what I'd really like to see them do is kinda, like, go a more, like, Marvel's Ultimate Alliance approach with this, and, like, maybe even allow, like, co-op gameplay since you do have, like, the Suicide Squad at your disposal. Like, maybe have 4 people on screen and, like, maybe have, like, a 4-player co-op mode. Like, this is available that you could do, like, so if I was playing it and you came over, you could just jump on and play with me as another member of a squad that I have on screen with me, just like Marvel's Ultimate Alliance and, that kinda stuff. Because like, the gameplay that the Arkham series has really lends itself to that being a very capable thing, and I'd like to see them kinda just do because that would be new for them. It wouldn't necessarily be new for, like, gaming by any means, but it'd be new and inventive gameplay for Rocksteady's, Batman franchise, we'll just call it at this point, just because before they just been single player games, and like I said, like, in the most recent one, they at least yeah, had you go on those missions where you could switch between, another character and play them, but it was all single player stuff. And like, I'd like to see them dabble a bit more, maybe even just expand that out more. So, like I said, if you're going out on a mission with the squad, like, are you gonna have all of them there with you at the same time, and you can just freely go between them? Because if so, that's a hell of a lot of like ads that you're gonna be fighting, a hell of a lot of mobs that you're gonna be fighting. If you have 7 people with you, or even 4 people with you, you're gonna have a lot of mobs there around you, and it would be, like, really cool if you could do that in co-op mode. That's one thing I'd really like to see out of this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't wanna I just don't want it to be the same thing, like, the same game, just reskinned with Suicide Squad characters, I just want them to do something a little bit different, you know what I mean? And did you ever play any of the Arkham games?
I did not.
You ever played any of them?
Never.
Dude, that's crazy.
I know, right?
That's honestly shocking. Okay. Anyway, though, moving on. Other than the Suicide Squad video game coming out, which I'm looking forward to, but I just hope they do something a little bit different with it. I hope they just switch it up a little bit. We're gonna get the Suicide Squad trailer, James Gunn's Suicide Squad trailer coming from DC Fandom. We got that coming, which that has me pretty excited to see. We're you like Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Oh yeah.
And I believe I heard you say that was like your favorite Marvel movie at one point in
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Why was that your favorite Marvel movie?
I just enjoyed it. It was funny. I thought it was great. And Guardians and Guardians of the Galaxy too. I just liked them.
Did you like the second one?
Yeah.
Did you like it more in the first one?
No.
Yeah. I feel like that was probably the clear consensus. I think most people see. I'm on the complete opposite camp where I think Guardians of the Galaxy was my least favorite MCU movie. Like, honestly, I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I honestly think that as far as MCU movies goes and how have enjoyed them from an individualistic standpoint, I put Guardians and probably Black Panther at, and Captain Marvel. Those are my least favorite of the Marvel movies.
I get that.
Like, I like all of them. They're all very good movies. But if I had to rank them, those would be at the bottom of my list. Like, I don't know why those movies they're great movies. I would definitely recommend them, but I don't know, comparatively speaking, I like the other ones more. Granted, Iron Man 2 and Thor: The Dark World are definitely at the bottom of the list. Actually, Iron Man 3 is 100% my least favorite Marvel movie. I hate that movie.
It's bad.
I fucking hate that movie. Do you remember watching the trailer for Iron Man 3?
Yeah.
It was fucking amazing. Do you remember, man, you were both like, this is going to be the Dark Knight of the Marvel Universe.
And it wasn't.
And I go in to watch that movie, I'm just like, this is the opposite of what I thought it would be. This is the most dog shit fucking movie I've ever. And it
was bad.
It wasn't just the Mandarin shit. It was the whole movie sucked, man.
It was bad.
It was a terrible movie. I hate that movie so fucking. I tried to rewatch it. I've tried to rewatch it 3 times. Like, I watched it the first time when it first came out, fucking hated it. And then years go by and I'm like, maybe I should give Iron Man 3 a try again. So many people actually say they like that movie. Maybe I was just in a bad mood. Then I rewatched it. I'm just like, nah, I don't like this movie. And then years go by
It's that
again.
bad.
Yeah, and then years went by again, and I was like, I must be missing something because so many people keep saying they really like Iron Man 3. So I try it again, and I'm like, dude, this movie fucking sucks. Like, I can't do it. I don't know what you people are saying. I hate it. Like, all of it. And it's crazy because I love Guy Pearce. I love Robert Downey Jr. I love the Iron Man movies. Like, I like Iron Man 2 is a far superior movie to Iron Man 3. And people want to say Iron Man 2 somehow is like one of the worst Marvel movies. And I'm like, well, that might be true. But it ain't as bad as Iron Man 3.
No, absolutely not.
Isn't it kind of crazy to think how popular Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr. is when Iron Man 1 was really the only universally loved Iron Man movie?
It's true.
Because Iron Man 2 was very it was good, and no one really hated on it when it came out. It made a lot of money, but a lot of people they realized it wasn't as good as Iron Man 1. But then Iron Man 3 came out and that really split everybody. It's really odd though too, because Marvel does not seem when you compare the fan base to Star Wars, when The Last Jedi came out, that shit tore fandom apart. But a movie like Iron Man 3, which Iron Man 3 is a far worse movie than The Last Jedi is. In every fucking way possible. In every fucking way possible.
I would definitely agree with
Iron Man 3 is far worse than The Last Jedi. But somehow, The Last Jedi just tore the Star Wars fandom apart. But Marvel just keeps on trucking along. It's kind of a weird character study in a way.
It really is.
How does that even actually happen? How could you have something so similar, but this affect people in such a different way? I find that to be, it's honestly kind of fascinating. I'd almost you can make a whole documentary out of that, dude. How the fuck does that even happen? But then on top of that, just to give a quick breakdown before we wrap this segment up here, just some things that we can expect from DC fandom. We've got the whole cast of Shazam is going to be there promoting Shazam 2, which I'm definitely looking forward to. Then we got what else is going to be? They're going to be doing some Batman stuff. Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson have been confirmed to do something there. They're even bringing Ezra Miller in to do something for The Flash, and Andy Muschietti is supposed to be there as well, who is at this point, I guess, still going to actually be directing the Flash movie that was supposed to come out 4 years ago. Gal Gadot is coming in with some Wonder Woman 84 stuff. The cast of Suicide Squad is going to be there. Dude, this DC Fandome event is actually shaping up to be pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah.
It's
what it looks like.
There's going to be some really great stuff here. And then honestly, this goes back to Oh, yeah, you even got, like, The Rock's gonna be doing something for, like, Black Adam at some point
Yeah.
too. Like, dude, this goes back to what I was telling you before, like, we talked about before with, the Comic-Con at Home event. That brought in, like, record low numbers comparatively, like, because they took, like, a lot of analytical data to show, like, just, like, trending shit on, like, social media and, like, just, like, whatever, a bunch of, like, statistics and analytics that came in through, like, topics that have occurred, like, post the Comic Con event that happened in real time, like, pre-COVID kinda thing, pre-Comic Con at
Yeah.
home. The impact and trending shit, this as far as, like, anecdotal analytical data, mind you, but, like, comparatively speaking between, like, 2018 Comic Con and 2019 Comic Con, nobody was talking about the stuff that went on, or not 2019, but, like, this year, 2020s rather. No, nothing happened. There was nothing that happened at Comic Con at home trended, and any social media stuff. There were, like, no hits as far as, like, statistical and analytical data, like, that shit, like, statistically fucking tanked. Like,
Yeah.
it's really a shame, but it goes back to, like, what I was saying before, like, when the Comic Con at home stuff got announced and we talked about it a couple times on the show, like, I just kept bringing up, like, what are they even gonna be showing off here? And then, like, it came out with, like, and all they ended up having a couple good things, like, the boys panel was good and, like, all this stuff and, like, blah, blah. And, but yeah, it looks like I was actually unfortunately kinda right, like, with DC pulling out and having their own event, and then Marvel been pulling away from doing Comic-Con stuff for the last couple of years now because of D23 and everything, and then them just, like, right now not having really anything to show as it is, like, Comic-Con just had, like, no content. They had nothing to be able to show, and
Yeah.
had DC not done their own thing this year, they would have more than likely pretty much showcased all this stuff at Comic-Con, but at this point, it's like, why the hell would they? If they can just
Yeah.
do their own thing, it just makes more sense, which is kinda goes back to the whole, topic we were talking about before with the Disney Mulan thing, like, if that shit works out for them, why the fuck do they need theaters?
Yeah.
You know what I
True.
mean? Like, it's a kind of scary thing, like, cause everybody loves going to the movies, everybody loves going to Comic-Con, and we want these things to succeed, but, kinda like you were saying, this is a whole new landscape. Like, with, the COVID and all this shit, like, it's kinda changed the way a lot of people have got to adapt in a much, much more different way than I think anybody ever thought they were ever would have had to. It's kinda like, I mean, it's kind of interesting just as someone sitting on the sidelines just kind of, like, watching it all unfold. Like, I'm kinda curious how it's gonna turn out, but in the end, I think DC Fandom is shaping up to be a pretty cool event. So,
Yeah,
it's just a one-day
definitely.
thing, so are you looking forward to anything else at Fandom?
Not necessarily, but we'll see when it comes out. So,
You looking for the Batman stuff more than
oh yeah,
anything, or
more than likely, yeah.
what do you wanna see out of Batman?
Trailers.
Dude, they ain't gonna have no fucking trailer.
No, but any information they have, like, I'm down.
What would you say if they don't have a trailer? But what if they have, like, the first costume reveals? Like, some real high def costume reveals of all, like, I mean, Riddler, Penguin, Catwoman, Batman, what if they have some of that shit? That'd be cool. Alfred even in, like, a
That'd be cool
tuxedo or
with that.
something.
I mean, like, just as long as we get like a better view of what's going on, like that's what I'm looking forward to.
What if they have, like, a that's one thing I'm probably more curious, I mean, being a Batman fan, I'm more curious just because of the landscape we're in right now, I'm more curious just of, like, what the fuck they even have to show us for the Batman.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
So, it really comes down to, like, what are they willing to tell us about the Batman?
yeah,
So, like, and I don't think they're gonna tell us very much because I mean, Hollywood's a very they're more of a show, don't tell kinda thing, which is how movies should be. You shouldn't
sure.
have to tell the audience what is going on, you should be able to show what's going on. That's the whole point about telling a story in a visual medium, you need to be able to show and
Yeah.
not tell. So, like, it'd be in I'm interested to see what the hell they even that has, honestly, the most question marks, no pun intended, because of Riddler around it to me, is the Batman stuff, just because their shit got shut down in filming, and I just don't even know what else they could even show us at this point other than, like, some costume.
Yeah.
So, like, I would like maybe even, like, a fan Q&A. 'Cause, I mean, I like Q&As with, like, fans because it can catch people off guard, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, sometimes, every once in a while, you get something out of somebody that they shouldn't say.
It's
It's
true.
rare, but it happens, especially if you're Tom Holland, you know, you come up at them, you throw them something, maybe they'll say something they're not supposed to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the Batman stuff. So, and I'm really curious to see anything on Black Adam because that movie, just like The Flash, was supposed to come out, like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, Black
Yeah.
Adam was never really slated for release by any means, but they announced Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson to be playing Black Adam, like, literally
Years
I
ago.
dude, it was around the time they announced BVS. If not that same Comic-Con, it was, like, the next one.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, 4 or 5 years ago kinda thing, like, and that thing's just now it was supposed to start filming in July. Obviously couldn't, but it was supposed to start filming in July. And, like, I don't know, I'm hoping they show it at the very least, even though we kinda saw some conceptual footage in Shazam of how The Rock would look as Black Adam. I'd like to see some actual at the very least, some official concept art or something, like, because I don't really know what else we could really learn from that.
Yeah.
Just because I mean, they literally haven't even started filming that, so they're not gonna wanna give anything away. So I don't know. But anyways, guys, that pretty much covers everything that I really have about, the DC Fandome event. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the Suicide Squad game more so than probably anything other than, like, Batman stuff. So, I mean, Suicide Squad stuff kind of falls in the territory of Batman stuff, but other than, you know, the Batman movie and then, like, Wonder Woman 84 too, we didn't really talk too much about, but, I mean, we've already seen a lot of it. I don't really need to see any more Wonder Woman 84. I'm already sold on it, I just wanna kinda see the movie at this point, so I'm curious what they're gonna show for that stuff, but if anything, guys, just let us know down in the comment section below, what are you looking forward to from a DC Fandom event, and do you think it's shaping up to be a pretty exciting event, all things considered? Because like I said, I think it's shaping up to be a little bit better than Comic-Con at home was gonna be at the very least, so whatever you guys think, just let us know down in the comment section below. Alright, guys, so our final topic here today is going to be bringing us to the John Wick verse, we'll call it for now, because they were supposed to be making a spin-off TV series at one point, I think on Amazon, but the news today just brings us to John Wick 4 and John Wick 5. Apparently, they're actually going to be filming both of these movies back to back, and they're going to be bringing so initially it was announced that there were we knew kind of that they were going to be making a John Wick 4. It was never really technically officially announced, but presumably just based on the sheer amount of money John Wick 3 made, it was kind of a foregone conclusion they would make a 4, and it kind of left on a cliffhanger to some capacity to set up a fourth one. So it's all but a foregone conclusion a fourth one would be in the works. But we've got official confirmation that not only John Wick 4 is going to be filming here at the beginning of the year, but they're also going to be filming John Wick 5 at the same time. So, Rick, my question to you is, what do you think about them filming? Well, actually, this them having confirmation that they're going to be making a John Wick 4 and they're making a John Wick 5 and shooting them back to back. What do you think about that?
I think it's pretty crazy. I like the John Wick movies. I think filming them back to back, it reminds me of The Matrix or like Lord of the Rings or something like that. But
Yeah.
I think it'll be good.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, well, did you like John Wick 2?
Yeah.
Or I mean, 3 rather, not
Yeah.
2.
I liked them all.
I liked honestly, dude, Halle Berry was dope as fuck in John Wick 3.
Yeah.
Like, dude, her and her pit bulls, dude, they were probably the best part of that movie. There were some parts of John Wick 3, I'm not gonna lie, where I felt like the shit just carried on a little bit too long.
Yeah.
Like some of the fight scenes literally were just like, I get it.
I get it. They're
I
fighting.
get it. I get it. Let's go. Let's go. Like, we don't need to fight the same mob of people. Like, we're done. We got it. Like, there was some of that. I mean, it was a good movie. I really liked it. And then at the end, though, I'm gonna like spoiler warning here, because like at the end, the dude literally fell. Actually, I won't. It'll be a light spoiler, because I'm not gonna say who. So we'll leave it at that. But there were two deaths in the movie that were like, nah, he's dead. Like, there's no way you survive that. And like, Rick, I'm sure you should know what I'm talking about here. But
Yeah.
the very last scene of the movie in particular, the dude literally falls off like the top of a skyscraper, bounces like very graphically, like CG graphically, like they had him bouncing off of like fire escapes on this building
Yeah.
and lands on the concrete, very painfully looking. And he just gets up and walks away just to go to a layer of someone else who very graphically died earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
So there's like I had issue with like that just because like I mean the movie is like it's not like a superhero movie. It's supposed to be like John Wick's just a dude, but
Yeah.
apparently not. He is a god man just like Superman is apparently in these
Sure.
movies. So that's kind of what that made it out to be in some capacity, but in the end, though, like we kind of said before, even talking about like Bill and Ted stuff, I'll watch anything with Keanu Reeves in it. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm more excited and curious about Matrix 4 than I am about John Wick 4, just
Yeah.
because I don't know. It's just been so long since the Matrix, and like the Matrix is probably one of my the first Matrix is probably one of my favorite movies of all time, and the way they ended that franchise always left me questioning like what happens next. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm really hoping that, like, something I'm hoping they have a really good story for Matrix 4 because 2 and 3 were a little bit of a letdown. I liked Matrix 2. I'm one of those few people that actually I liked the second one. I
Yeah.
thought it was good. Like, there was some stupid shit in it, but I liked it.
Reloaded.
Yeah, Reloaded
Yeah.
was a good movie, man. The twins were good. Like, they were goofy as shit, but I liked them. I liked the fight scenes with them. Like, I liked here's the thing, with the Matrix going from the Matrix 1 and the Matrix Reloaded, there was a big ass just jump to where, like, Neo is now Superman.
Yeah.
Like, the movie
Basically.
starts out literally with, like, "This is where we're at now." This dude is literally Superman. Like, he fucking flies away, distorts reality when he goes, he does whatever the fuck he wants, and I liked that.
Yeah.
And it would be like a kind of like because a lot of other things, like, kind of like I was talking about at the beginning of the show with, like, Umbrella Academy, they kinda, like, slowly show you things, and it's like, sometimes they do that for budgetary reasons, and sometimes they do it just as a storytelling thing, like, they just wanna be like, "No, we wanted to show you the progression of the character," and it's like, it's all fine and dandy, and, like, I totally get if you gotta, like, hide some stuff for budget like, I get it, as long as it's done well, it's all good,
Yeah.
but I liked that the Matrix going from the Matrix 1 to Matrix 2 really pulled no fucking punches, and they were like, "Nah, this dude is he's the shit. Like Neo is the one is a big deal, and this is why the one is a big deal." I liked that.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. And then I liked the Merovingian. I always thought that dude was cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Like the French dude, the Frenchman. Like, I like the Matrix Reloaded. The more I think about it, I like it. Revolutions was kind of meh, but it is what it is. When it comes to Matrix 4 or John Wick 4 and 5 though, do you think I had 2 things come to mind I don't really think anybody really thought of, and, like, 1, do you think that they're shooting them back to back for, like, because you said, like, they shot, like, the Matrix, franchise, 2 and 3, and then, like, Lord of the Rings, 2 great examples of, like, movies that were shot sequentially, right? They shot them pretty much the same time. They even shot, Infinity War and Endgame at, like, the same time, even though they
Yeah.
were completely separate movies. So to some capacity. Like they weren't like direct. They were kind of linked, but kind of not. But do you think that they're shooting them back to back for like budgetary purposes?
Maybe.
Or do you think they're shooting them back to back because like they're telling a much more connected story? Because there's really three
Hopefully
options here.
that's what it is.
Well, there's a third option. Okay, and the third option is that it might be both A and B. So we'll say A is budgetary, B is it's a much more connected story, like a part 1, part 2, like a Deathly Hollows part 1, part 2, right?
Sure.
Harry Potter. Or option C might be a little bit of A and B, but it's the end of the franchise.
Yeah.
So, like, they're ending it. and so they're shooting 3 and 4, and then boom, it's done.
That's very possible.
Or 4 and 5 rather, not 3 and 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, which do you think it would really be, though? Like, which would you rather
I
see?
think it'd be the end.
You think it's gonna end with this?
Yeah, I definitely do.
How do you think it ends? Do you think John Wick dies?
Maybe. I mean, he's put in enough risky situations to where, like, it's very possible.
I think you can't really end this franchise without him dying.
No.
I think him dying would be the most rewarding thing at this point.
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
so much shit that this dude's been through, pretty much just, like, the first one being vengeance, and then the last one being pretty much he just kinda got pulled into the shit, you know, and he got stuck in the second one being he got pulled into it, the third one being he got stuck in a shitty situation. So, like, 4 and 5, I would almost feel like it would have to be I think C, going with option C being that A and B, so it's connected story, a part 1 and part 2 essentially, also being the end of the franchise is what
Yeah.
I really think it would be. I think that'd be the best way to, like, put it to rest.
That's what I would think.
Yeah, I think it'd be, like, fulfilling for the character even. I feel like you could just end it well because he's been put through, he's already had his revenge, he's already had the "I'm too old for this," and then now he's just stuck in a shitty situation,
Yeah.
you know? So I feel like the best thing now, especially the way 3 ended, like, he's pretty much back at the vengeance stage, and now it's against, like, the franchise, you know, like
Yeah.
the assassins themselves, like, that's what he's up against now, like, the whole order of it all. So I feel like it would have to end now.
Yeah.
That's the only logical place I could see it going is just he takes the whole thing down and dies in the end. Maybe
Sure.
sets up a new thing to take over, or I don't give a fuck because they were supposed to have, like, a spin-off series called The Continental on, like, Amazon about the like, a series set in the John Wick universe about the Continental Hotel and the assassins and shit.
Yeah.
They're supposed to have a spin-off thing about that. So I could see honestly, I could see because initially they were saying that this Continental spin-off series was supposed to be like, there were rumors that, Keanu Reeves would actually show up and be a part of it at some point.
Yeah.
I could actually almost see it kinda lending itself better, maybe, to them setting up the Continental by ending this franchise.
True.
Because if depending on how this goes, if he takes down the thing and then sets up a new thing to go forward, there's your story. If
Yeah.
he takes down the thing and then dies and then they tease, something's still left there, like some high overlord bad guy or some good guy or whatever is still there to build something back up, there's your series. Like there's a
Sure.
lot they could do with it to lead into this series without Keanu Reeves, albeit having Keanu Reeves, even the thought of Keanu Reeves being able to appear in the series is probably a bigger draw.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I
would say
mean?
so.
So I mean that's kind of the only thing I could feel like it having. I don't know, like killing him off and just ending the franchise could have a negative effect on them wanting to do like the TV series, but you should never make a movie. I mean, I don't know, because like you should never make a movie and like thinking about like, well, what are we gonna do next, next, next? You should really
Yeah.
always just focus on what you're doing right now to make the best thing you possibly can make for now.
For sure.
At the same time, with something that's going into its fourth and fifth movie at this point, it's smart to plan for the future.
Yeah.
Much
Definitely.
like the MCU does, you know what I mean? Like, Kevin Feige doesn't let anybody just come in and tell any goddamn story they want because he's got plans. He's got shit that needs to happen because, like we said, this dude makes $1 billion per movie on average. So
Yeah.
you're gonna do whatever this dude says, like, and if they've been successful, because that's one thing, like, I don't know if you know, but the John Wick movies have nearly doubled in profits for every single movie that's came out.
It's
Like, the
crazy.
first one came out, it was made for, like, $25 million or something along those lines, and it made, like, I don't know, like, $100 million or something. The second one came out, and it made, like I don't know, it was, like I forget the exact numbers, but it was, like, each movie that came out made almost double what the previous one made, and all
Yeah.
they did was essentially go up, like, 10 to $20 million in budget each movie. So they made, like they've been a very successful franchise. I think the last one made like a little over 300 million, and they only made it for like $50 million.
Yeah.
Like that's huge, dude. Like that's huge. And the second one was like they make it for like 40 million, and they made like 200. First one was like 25, 30, and they made like 100. You know what I mean? Like this movie is, or this franchise has just been like killing it as far as like, for one, quality goes. Like none of them have gotten worse. They've all been like just as good, if not better. I kind of still think the first one's my favorite.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, but as far as financially goes, they've been just nothing but successful. So I'm really looking forward to 4 and 5, and it just has me. The fact that they're shooting them back to back is the only thing that like keeps me kind of curious, and actually like kind of excites me more because, like I said, like they could either be killing it all with it, or they could be setting something up like really great, or it could just have more of a just a much more connected story. So
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know what I mean? You got anything else you want to add about that?
No, I'm
John
good.
Wick? You good?
Good.
Where I think that just about covers it for today, guys. So like where can everybody find you online, Rick?
Sir Rick Metz. You'll see that below.
Will you?
Yep. You got
Do
it
they see
down
it
there.
now?
Yep. They
Do
can
they
see
it
it.
now?
They can see
Now?
it now.
Now?
Yeah.
Yep, now. This is at Sir Rick Man. Where is that? Is that on the tweeters, on the Instagram?
It's gonna be on the
Where
Instagram, Facebook.
Instagram, Facebook.
Yep.
Very exciting.
Follow me.
All right, you can follow me at Sir Rob Bifo. I don't spend a whole lot of time on social media though, but you can find me on there if you want to try to get at me. You can also email us, which is probably the best way because I don't really, like I said, I don't really do the social media stuff too often. But you can email us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. That's honestanduneducated@gmail.com. You can send us topics, suggestions, questions, whatever the fuck you want to send us. You can just send it there to the email. So I don't know, man. You got anything else? You good?
I'm
You
good.
got anything else? You want to cover anything?
No, I'm good.
All right, then. He's Rick Metz. I'm Sir Rob Bifo. Take care.